All right, well, welcome back to Noob School. Noob School is where we find great salespeople and business folks that started in sales, and we back them back to when they got started. And we try to learn from them, what they do well, what helped them, what didn't they do well. Today when I say I have a very special guest, today I really mean it. This is my oldest son, Jack, who is with me today. And Jack, I don't need my notes really to describe Jack, but he went to Rhodes College in Memphis, and he majored in history. And he was a very fine young man to raise. And when he was graduating from Rhodes after this very, I would say, expensive history degree, he says to me, I'm like, well, what are you going to do? And he goes, well, I think I'm going to enlist in the Navy and become a SEAL. I'm like, really? We could have maybe planned this a little bit better, but nonetheless, that's exactly what he did. He went through the process, and he, of course, made it. And it was a SEAL for almost 10 years. And then when he got out, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, and one of the causes he promotes here locally in Greenville. But when he got out, that's when he went into this role of salesperson. So he kind of had almost a 10-year, what do you call that? Handicap, not a head start.
Yeah, handicap.
Yeah. So he started, at let's say age 30 as a salesperson versus like most of you, age 21 or age 22. So we'll talk about that and what he's learned.
It's 33. 33 was the age when I started, yeah.
Well, don't. I like to make numbers up.
It's the little things.
Just make the syllabus. So anyway, Jack, thanks for being here today. We appreciate it.
It's great to be here.
And thanks for bringing, if you hear any noises, his service dog Echo is back here lapping up some water, maybe doing some yelping later. So
might even see.
It's all part of the package.
That's right.
Yeah. So talk to us just a little bit about getting out of college in all seriousness and deciding to join the Navy, and that process taking you up until when we started in sales, which let's say age 33.
First of all, can we curse on this podcast, or is this a family-friendly podcast? I should have asked before we started. Okay. So I had what's called an oh shit moment when I was maybe 19, sitting in a corporate law office. My entire life, I thought I liked history, going to go to law school, become a lawyer, open and shut case.
So you were in a corporate law office doing like an internship?
Yeah, internship at Floor Daniel. Fantastic law office. Loved the law aspect of it, but I was miserable. I had, probably akin to a midlife crisis, realizing I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
And this is not it. I need to get out. Missed being on a team, and I missed being outside, working hard.
And your teams previously would have been basketball team, track
primarily
team?
Basketball, but any team. Didn't really matter. Whatever it was, the team environment, locker room, practice, traveling for trips, wins, losses, all of that. You're battling with your team. And that was something that I was missing as a college student. Played intramural sports, didn't really have that kind of focused or controlled environment. And I missed that. And those two combinations of factors, the missing the teams and wanting to be outside and doing them hard, not sitting, behind a desk in any capacity, led me to the SEAL teams. Mm-hmm. Buzz warning order, challenge, laying down anybody that's interested. If you're like-minded, come get a taste. And that was what set that in motion in my brain. It took about 3 years from that first spark to actually walking into the enlistment office. I think I could do like 10 push-ups at the time and no pull-ups. So you were right to be chagrined at my
Well, I remember
audacity.
watching you practice swim, and I was like, I might even go in there and get him.
Yeah.
I mean, because you were going so long.
It was long. Yeah, I was a skinny, fat college kid. I was not really doing anything productive other than, drinking beer and making adequate grades. Yeah. And so it was, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like I'm kind of on I'm coasting toward something. Yeah. So radically altered course, spent almost 10 years, both as a SEAL team operator and then as an instructor for other team guys going through training, primarily in communication. So that was kind of the crossover from what I was doing then to what I'm doing now, helping people communicate. We used to be a SEAL platoon. Now it's businesses in the area. So just
so they understand that the story after almost 9 or 10 years, that's a normal time for a SEAL to either get out or stay until 20.
Yeah, if you do 20, you get to retire. With the pension. And so that's kind of the last, the last stop.
Yeah.
If you get out after 10 years, 10, 12, 13, 15 years, it's kind of silly. You just, make it the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I had 2 kids by that point, and I was really not enjoying deploying and traveling as much as you did in SEAL teams with children. Getting to know your young kids through Skype is kind of painful. So that was my big why. Decided to make the jump after about 9 years. And
those 2 grandchildren.
Those 2.
And you were gone, as I recall, like 80-something% of the time?
That's give or take 60 to 80% of the time in any given year. You're traveling, a lot of domestic travel, a lot of international travel, plus long deployments.
I will say his children are well above average.
They're okay.
They're pretty good.
We're pretty lucky.
They're pretty good. So, I mean, the other reason is because you're I don't think you're hurt that much. Your body's not hurt, but I mean, it wears you out, right?
It does. It does. It takes a toll. You can kind of see, you see almost everybody that makes it to 20 is just a walking wreck.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an NFL athlete or something like that, or someone coming off the gridiron after a career. Their bodies are messed up, right? You're putting your body through a lot. I was starting to see, especially with my head, just kind of repetitive concussive trauma taking its toll. So like you said, I walk around, look pretty healthy, but there's plenty of damage there. Well,
good. Well, I think you made a good decision to go in and to get out when you did. And of course, everyone appreciates that. That's not easy. You did not take the easy route.
No.
You no longer smell like hops and bong resin.
Well, yeah.
Well, forget it. Forget I brought that up. Well, not hops anyway.
Moving on.
Okay, all right. So then, I know that you came to Greenville. You lived in San Diego all that time, moved the family to Greenville, and you had to figure out what you're going to do with yourself. So talk us through that process and how you ended up with your own business and Clemson, that whole thing.
Yeah. So Clemson was a huge part of it. I had moved out of Greenville in 2004, moved to Memphis and then to San Diego, both great cities, and loved Greenville. But when I left in 2004, it wasn't the kind of place where you wanted to come back and raise a family. There was great community, but there's a lot of things about the city that were just not that appealing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're picking Greenville, independent of where your family was, it was not a place that would jump off the map to most people. Yeah. But over the course of that 15 or so years where I wasn't living here, every time I came back and got a little snapshot, it was like something changed, and always in the positive. There's very rarely, that's gross, that used to be there before. It's always a positive change. And so that cumulative effect, kind of coming back and really checking, kicking the tires on Greenville, it was almost overwhelming. It was incredible how much the city had changed, and not to mention the great business community, great social community, and then the natural environment being in the middle of where we are. I missed being around seasons in San Diego. San Diego's endless summer. So, but the kind of the final push over the hump was Clemson's MBA program being rehoused downtown Greenville. That was huge.
Okay.
The idea of going to business school, once or twice a week down in Clemson is a long drive. Yeah. So having that really nice new building downtown made a huge difference. Yeah. Enrolled in Clemson's MBA program, worked on some analytics in addition to the normal business curriculum. Yeah. Great program, finished that last year. And but before I was accepted and had about 6 months to wait before the program started. Was not employed, needed to figure out something to do. Leaving the military, you have a lot of time to think about what you want to do with your life, how when you grow up, quotes. And I wanted to try entrepreneurship. I'd worked for the biggest bureaucracy in the world, the Department of Defense, and I wanted to try kind of the other end of the spectrum, solar operator. And just try that, see how it feels. Yep. It would allow me to be near my kids, pursue education on my own time. Fortunately, the GI Bill was footing that bill, so I could afford to go to school and start my own thing. And so, we started together in your office, just dumping my life on the table, putting it on the whiteboard, and just starting to kind of pick through, what was there. Yeah. See what made sense. Yeah. And there was around the same time, maybe a year or two before this all transpired, ScanSource bought a company called Intelisys and sold telecommunication services. And the advice that I got and you got and we heard was just go sell circuits. So you figure out what you're good at. Easy as falling off a truck. Okay. I didn't know what a circuit was.
What is a circuit?
I thought Circuit City, something to do with computers, electronics. It's an internet or a phone line. That's what the industry refers to. So
somebody wants to turn up a line.
If you want to open a new restaurant, or if you want to open a new branch of your bank or something like that, you've got to turn up a circuit. Circuit connects you to the internet. And that's what we were trying to sell. It took me about 1.5 years to really fully digest that and internalize what we were trying to do. But that was what we started doing, called it Cloud Hound. I didn't have the dog at that point, but now we have the hound for Cloud Hound. Yeah. And we started selling circuits, and it was originally all direct prospecting. Didn't really start with a list. Didn't even know what we were selling for that matter. It was kind of, build the rocket ship once it's left the launch pad kind of thing. But we started making some sales, some little sales here and there. My biggest thing getting out was I wanted to help people. I didn't know who or how, but I felt like, serving in the military is helping others. You're doing something so someone else doesn't have to, and that's helping people. Yeah.
So let me just stop for a second. So just for the noobs, he got out of the military. He's got the GI Bill, which pays for your education, and he got an MBA at Clemson. So he learned business. And I think with the SEALs, they did that with you all the time. It's one of the reasons you traveled all the time, was you were getting these certifications in different skills. So it was very natural for you to say, I better learn business. Same with learning sales, right? I mean, you need to get certified in all these things or understand them. So you did that, and you found an opportunity with Cloud Hound and with ScanSource, where you could leverage that communications background you have with the SEALs and the data analytics with Clemson to help people. Okay. So tell them about what it's like going out and making those first sales calls.
It's scary.
Okay.
And I'd be lying if I said it wasn't scary. And I've talked about this with our sales trainer before, the guy that we worked with, Walker McKay. It's kind of scary. And so as someone that's jumped out of an airplane and been shot at before, it's the same. It feels the same. Yeah. And it's okay to acknowledge that it's kind of scary. You got a little butterflies. You're calling, the big call, or you're calling somebody that's kind of daunting, and a big whale client or prospect. It's scary. Plain and simple.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess the message there is it is scary. It's scary for anyone, particularly when you're starting out and it's new. But you just do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
Get your reps in.
Scary stuff shouldn't be a reason to not do it.
Yeah.
It just is letting you know that it's you care about it, right? You're scared of going out of a plane because you care about yourself. You don't want to die.
Yeah.
So same thing. If you're making a phone call, you don't want to look silly. You don't want to have them tell you to never call you again. I mean, there are similarities there, even though the context is different.
Well, one of the things I know we did, because we've talked about this obviously before, is, if a noob went to work for a big company with lots of sales training, that's a pretty good way to start. You didn't start that way. You had to start kind of learning much more of it on your own. And we did have some sales training with Walker and others. But one thing that Jack did consistently was he would do a little bit of prospecting every day. 1 or 2 a day, he would call and say, hey, I'm Jack. I want to meet you, right? I want to meet you, see if there's anything I can do to help you with your cybersecurity or whatever. And, you get some yeses.
Yeah. We actually had a really good rate of yeses on those first calls. I mean, I was targeting people that were business owners, the CEO, the leadership. I was going as high up the food chain as I can per your advice. Really getting a good hit rate, getting coffees, getting meetings at their office, going and connecting with these key leaders. And then what I was asking for was introduction to their IT leader. And that was where things really started to unravel. I was talking to a non-IT person who was perceiving me as an IT person, introducing me to their IT person, and just getting shut down. Really high rate of shut, dead end. So that was how we started. Going to market was just kind of like not really knowing what we were doing.
They would give you that was
getting
their
the
brush
introduction.
Off. That was their brush off. Was Charlie handles this?
Yeah, Charlie. If we need something, Charlie will know about it and he'll get it from you. Yeah. That was kind of the answer, and they could feel good about that. They didn't say no, and I felt great about it because it was what I wanted. And it really didn't go anywhere for 18 months. We were doing that dance.
So what changed?
I had a moment sitting in a local IT services company in their office. They had about twice as much desk capacity as they needed. They just moved into a new space, and they were gracious enough to let me desk surf there, half a day a week, full day a week. And I overheard a conversation. One of the guys that I sat near was just upset with one of the local telecommunications providers. And I kind of took note, closed my laptop, and when he was done with his call, I asked him, well, what's up? And he told me, he said, these, they cheat us. When our clients need help with a internet circuit or a phone circuit, we call and they try and poach the business from us like clockwork. And so I said, you know what? You can just call me instead, and realize that as they like, oh, that's great. That'd be nice for us to be a benefit or a value add for those account managers at this IT company to not have to call AT&T or Spectrum or Windstream or whoever else anymore, because nobody likes making that phone call. Okay, that was my light bulb moment, that instead of me trying to chase down the conversation with the leader and then get to the IT manager and then run into a brick wall of trust, I can go to these IT companies and they are Charlie for all of their clients. Mm-hmm. And so if they trust me, then it's like a multiplier by how many number of customers they have. And so that's been our strategy since then, was we look for partnerships like those IT companies. Similarly, commercial real estate companies, their clients or prospects need what we have. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, our value pitch to this, we'll do this thing for you. We'll do the legwork for free. That way we get a chance to get these inbound referrals and close them. So it goes from me climbing uphill trying to get over the hump with Charlie to Charlie trusts me already. Yeah. Charlie's got 100 clients that all come to him, and he's got limited amounts of time in the day to call AT&T and get quotes and do that whole dance. And so that's what we do. Now Charlie really likes me.
So you found success. You found a way, which was people that are already selling these companies IT services. They don't sell telecom or cloud services, mm-hmm. and you're just tagging on with them.
Yeah, and oftentimes it's kind of, I use the Bruce Lee approach of mind like water. If an IT services company offers, telephones, I don't sell cell phones to their customers. That's not what they're asking me for. I'll sell just whatever they ask for. So if someone needs cloud services, we can give them to them. If they need phone or internet service, we can do that. Cybersecurity, same thing. Yeah. But I honor that relationship first and foremost, because that's the referral source. They're sending me inbound warm leads on a regular basis. If it means I lose one less, get one less new customer, so be it. Yeah. So it's a good symbiotic relationship, and it's always the relationship's more important than any one customer opportunity.
That's great. Well, you found a way. I'm not surprised. You found a way to make it work. So we're talking about CloudHound right now. If anybody's watching, what are the couple of things that they could think about that maybe their company has that they might need your help with? They're not all going to need your help, but some might.
Chances of someone needing our help on a given day is about 1 in 1,000, right? Uh-huh. Typical telecom contracts on a 3-year cycle. So the odds of someone today or whoever, when they watch this video or when I call them out of the blue, about 1 in 1,000 mm-hmm. that they actually want or need to talk to us right then. So the time when someone would want to talk to us would be if they need to move, add, or change a circuit. Right? Move to a new location. Internet and phone needs to be turned up. It's a task on the list when you move. Okay. Opening up a new branch or just want to change providers altogether. So you're sick of X telecom company. You want to see if there's a better, cheaper, faster option out there. We'll give you the current industry standard, see what's out there. Just give you a check.
So the easy one, if someone's moving a circuit, it's mm-hmm. moving, when you turn one up, anything like that, it's the time they might talk to you. Or I know you do the cybersecurity training also, mm-hmm. and you have a very small product they can use, a phishing product. We
found, yes. So we work with Hook Security locally. They're a psychological security as a service company, meaning that they offer psychological security training on an ongoing basis. We use their product to conduct regular social engineering training for our clients. That means we make their users more aware of the threats that are out there, and we test them in a blind fashion, so they don't know when the tests are happening, to see how they do. So if you get an email that says, hey, this is Frank from IT, I need your password and username to update your account, that's not Frank. It's probably not Frank. Yeah. If you have a question about it, call Frank and see what's going on. But the reason for that is every single company we've talked to on any capacity, telecom, whatever, even some of your customers that I understand, I ask about cybersecurity. It's very top of mind. It's not going away. The threat is growing and evolving and changing on a daily basis. And it's the first thing that really resonated with me coming out of the military is the conflict between the world of these bad actors in cyber and enterprise is it's very much a battlefield. It is not that far apart. In many cases, it's the same thing. Yeah. So, coming from a world where I'm studying the bad guys, learning how to defeat them, it's not that far apart. It really wasn't a big jump to go from what I was doing previously to thinking through, how to reduce the threat to a business.
So I would say if somebody has a business that wants maybe a cybersecurity assessment or just to talk to you about it, that'd be a good person to talk to.
That'd be great.
And they can reach you cloudhound.us. Is that right?
Cloudhound.us, that's right. And really, if anyone wants to just have a technology conversation, it doesn't cost you anything to talk, to us, and we're happy to do it.
Okay.
So.
All right, just a few more questions. What's your favorite word?
Patience.
I thought it was Tad.
Favorite person. So patience.
Patience.
I mean, like I said, it took me 3 years from deciding to actually acting on the SEAL thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't for lack of, I wanted to finish college first. So that's why I did it. Thanks, by the way. But patience. I mean, it takes anything worth it. It takes a little time, it takes effort. It's not going to happen right away.
Yeah.
We're in a place now in year 4 of this business where it's just kind of starting to pay off and show results. The flywheels are starting to kind of turn a little bit. So, but if I had given up after year 2 or even year 3, pandemic could have come like, well, shut it in, go find a job working for someone else. Right. I didn't want to do that. And so I knew where I wanted to go. I knew that we had seen results start. They were small and it takes kind of a long time for them to start paying off. Mm-hmm. But they start to accumulate and then people start understanding what you're doing and you start finding more partners. And as I get better at telling the story, people start to understand it better and then they start knowing how to use us better. And it just starts to kind of pick up steam. I've always likened it to prospecting for oil. You don't expect to turn, the pipelines start turning out crude oil on day 1 or even year 1, right? You kind of have a 3 or 5 year plan to go prospect and find and drill and cap and then, transport and produce. You got to do all these different pieces to it to finally, be able to sell a barrel of oil at the end of that. Yeah. So we're kind of at that point right now where we found some.
I love it.
Some wells.
I know how hard you worked on it. I'm glad you were patient enough to stick with it. It's wonderful. So that's great. So we'll switch gears. So one of the things I know you've done outside of work is worked with some great local business folks on the effort to recruit other SEALs to move to Greenville. Mm-hmm. And I think that's called the SEAL Future Foundation, and you guys are running the Greenville division of that.
Correct, FOB Greenville.
Okay. So I'll just tell my version of it, but when Jack was in the SEALs, we were talking, he went through a couple of different programs. We were talking about the fact that when SEALs get out of the service, and this is a tough job they have, they typically either stay in San Diego, because that's where they were, or Virginia Beach, only two main SEAL bases, or maybe they go home. Mm-hmm. But there wasn't any place that said, hey, look over here. Mm-hmm. We want to make our own place here for you guys to come that's, in the South and it's mainly warm and it's near the mountains and the beach. And a lot of people want you here because that's not the case everywhere, unfortunately, right? There's cities in America that would be real excited about.
I wouldn't say they would be real excited. I would say that those big markets were already saturated. Yeah. There's a couple dozen SEALs living there. They know who each other are. They're connected. Yeah. And so it wasn't that they were not welcome. It was that Greenville had a chance to really light up on the map as the first kind of small market in the country that says, hey, we want to actively recruit SEALs, Special Forces guys coming out of the soft community, guys and gals, the image I always think about is kind of the, bridge over, you got to make a bridge across a, river crossing. Someone's got to swim across with a rope and then set up on the other side for other people to kind of come behind, make it easier for everybody else. And so we kind of model ourselves after that. The SEAL Future Foundation works on a FOB model, meaning there's each city or county has their own little FOB. So FOB Greenville supports all the, FOB, Forward Operating Base. It's a jargon term. Sorry. Okay. But there's about a dozen of us locally. We have civilian leadership as well. Phil Walpole has been a fantastic partner in this endeavor. His energy and networking skills are through the roof. Yeah. But we put together an annual shooting event down in the Sawmill in Lawrence County.
So you've been doing something like this for 6 years, but the current thing is Sawmill.
Sawmill, April 23rd. Last year we had 100 guests, but more than a dozen SEALs came out, and it's a great day of fun on the range.
Yeah. So I remember you get to shoot a 50 caliber sniper rifle for a 1 mile target.
Up to a mile, yeah.
That's pretty cool. You get to, at least I don't know if it's every year, but last year they had a Black Hawk helicopter people were riding around in.
Yep.
Shooting things.
That's correct.
And other guns, and then I think do you remember that? I think Mr. Bauer and I won the house clearing. Clearing.
2 years ago, you were the champ. Not just the clear the house, but the whole day. You guys were the one top shooting pair. It was very impressive.
Yeah. So it is a great fun day. And what we found, or what I've found as a supporter, is that it's the best way to get to know the SEALs. Mm-hmm. Y'all used to have them come to Greenville, and like get on stage and give a little talk, and it was really dumb.
Fish out of water.
I know, but that was the man going across the river with the rope. Yeah, trying to figure
out what works. Yeah. And Greenville's really we're leading the country right now in terms of fundraising for the SEAL Future Foundation.
Awesome.
Just can't put enough events together. We're getting more interested, and we can provide services for. So it's a great thing. I'm making sure to put it out to my network as well, and I'm hearing about it from people that I've never met before, SEALs and otherwise.
And so the couple things I think our listeners can do if they're interested. One, they will go to what website to check this out?
You're quizzing me on something that I don't know off the top of my head. I said if you Google the SEAL Future Foundation, it'll take you to the page.
The Greenville event.
The Greenville event is listed on the main
website. So SEALFutureFoundation.com or
SEALFutureFoundation/events.com or something along those lines.
You can find it on that. You can contact me if you can't find it. I'll share it with you. And if you have jobs and you'd like to hire SEALs that are getting out, you can funnel us directly to me or to Jack. You can get him at cloudhound.us. Mm-hmm. And I think you've got my information. So anyone, if you say, hey, I'd like to have someone do such and such, or I've got these positions open, we'll move it around the community.
Yeah, it's great. We're happy to do that. And on the flip side, we get guys that are considering or already committed to moving to Greenville that are looking for jobs. Mm-hmm. So it's a really nice way to help. Continue to stay engaged with the community that I love, and the people that I really enjoy working with.
Good.
In that community. So
we're glad you're back in Greenville for many reasons. That's just one of them, but that's a really good cause. And anyone thinking about going to the sawmill, that's a really great event. So thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
It's good to be here.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, it's John here. Thanks for listening today. Please check out noobschool.org. That's my website. That's where we have other videos and content that can help you get started in sales.